Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Quant Network, aka QNT. So let's just dive in and let's start off with looking at the price of QNT. So at the time that I am recording this, we are seeing QNT trailing around the 130 mark. I do believe that we will see lower on QNT. I actually just mentioned this in my XRP video talking about the biggest bull run in history that could be coming very, very soon. I still believe that that is the reality, but I do think that we have just a little bit more altcoin pain because, again, when Bitcoin does start to kind of take off, a lot of the money trickles out of altcoins into Bitcoin to kind of support the FOMO move up, and then that will also trickle back down into altcoins, but I will take advantage of that. I still am looking at some lower price action on QNT. Will it happen? We don't know, right? Again, I always say nothing in this market is guaranteed. We could see tomorrow QNT trading at $10 or $1,000. Anything in this game is possible, but I have been looking at technical analysis on QNT for a while, and it really does look like it will come back down to test $60 to $80 eventually. We don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know if it will ever happen, but all I know is that I am making a big bet on it. I have shared this many times in the past, but hey, it does not matter because today we know that QNT is trading at roughly around the 130 level. Long term, it does not matter where the price is today, tomorrow, or next week because long term, I believe that Quant, aka QNT, will be trading at a very significant price, and it's going to be very exciting once that day is realized in. Now, somebody posted over on Twitter that we hit over 100,000 wallets for QNT, going broke with two zeros here in the name for the O's, or actually no, it's just going broke with a zero in the broke area on his @ name. They posted this, and it was a comparison of the Ethereum chart actually when this happened as well, and we noticed that it went parabolic after the 100K mark, and looking at it now with 214 million wallets, mind-blowing. All-time high is about almost $5,000 for Ethereum, and the supply is about 122.7 million. QNT tokenomics are 11.9% of the supply of Ethereum. And here you guys have the comparison of Ethereum. And we actually do see when it hit 100K, it added another 100K to the wallet tab in a pretty short term time frame on this, actually. I mean, if you go from 100K to 500K, I mean, this is in such a short amount of time. It's in basically a year span on how massively parabolic it went. Now, it's not going to do the same thing, in my opinion. I don't think that's going to repeat the same exact thing, but it would definitely be something exciting to see nonetheless. And also, right now, Ethereum does have a daily increase of about 170, almost 5,000 wallets. So if you think about that, think about how early you actually are into QNT, because I don't know if the holders tab is still over here on CMC. So it actually is. Yeah, we're at about 100,322 at the time that I'm recording this, which we have been adding. I mean, honestly, in the last 3 months, we went from 66.2K total addresses to over 100,000 just of recent. And even going back to like the beginning of November, we were at 76,000. So we have been adding a lot more addresses to QNT, which is very exciting to see, but we still are nowhere near Ethereum or even Bitcoin's level, which gets me very excited for the future ahead of QNT, knowing what is going to be happening. So, nonetheless, let's jump in and let's talk about interoperability. I know it's funny, right? We've been talking about interoperability in almost every single QNT video because that is the center point usability case here. But this is going to be a little bit different. So we do see how can the industry achieve interoperability. Gilbert Verdian points to our work with ISO standards, not just technical but legal business governance, while Tech MJH says we can't expect the industry to coalesce around one vendor solution. And listen closely to this quick minute and 35-second long clip, and then I will talk to you guys a little bit about this after.
Interoperability is multifaceted. It's within ISO, I mean, we're creating an interoperability framework, which not only looks at technical, it looks at legal, business, governance, and other types of interoperability, which if you bring it all together, you're creating a common set of rules between participants on how they should interact and transact, and then you're creating common protocols where they can actually talk to each other. So those two is really what true harmonized interoperability should be.
The question that you asked, when the customers think that interoperability is solved, is when all of their customers can talk to all of the customers they want to without any friction. Right. And our view is there's not one vendor that's going to do that. Right. You get a lot of, particularly some of the larger vendors and some of the blockchain vendors. If everybody uses our solution, it will be interoperable. That's not going to work. Not at this point in the market, anyway. So
I also, really quick, want to go back to what he just said there, where it was okay, interoperability is achieved when every single major client is utilizing our technology, and he's talking about like specific crypto projects out there. Or I even seen this being a big argument point with Ripple. Going back to, it was like 2020, 2019, everyone thought like Interledger protocol was going to be the biggest thing that solves interoperability. But the problem with that is Ripple's idea around Interledger protocol fully working out in an interoperable standard would be every single major financial institution adopting that same technology, which is just illogical to say the least. What Quant is doing here is a little bit different, and we will talk about that after this video.
So, to Gilbert's point, the reason why we're creating standards is so that our solutions can work with other people's solutions, and this thing can be stitched together into one large global community, because it's the community, the rules for that, how the schemes work together, the jurisdictions, the formats that make it straightforward and frictionless to conduct business. That, I think, is the interoperability that we're aiming for, not a monoculture.
So yeah, when we talk about interoperability, yeah, it's a huge focus point on this channel whenever we do talk about QNT. And I know that it could definitely sound annoying. It could probably sound like a broken record. But just like regulations, how it's a big obstacle to adoption of crypto, interoperability will be, I would argue that interoperability is probably much bigger than regulations on the scale of adoption. Why? Well, yeah, I mean, look at interoperability, right? It will be a domino effect down the food chain from these larger corporations to SMEs to medium-sized enterprises and corporations. And then all of a sudden, boom, the smaller ones and the micro, companies and corporations that maybe have like 100 or so, workers. It's going to blossom out into a massive network of networks that are all going to be centered on Overledger, connecting all to blockchain networks. And it's going to be very exciting because guess what? That will not only bring in a ton of transactional value, it will also bring in a ton of volume in general from just like the users that are utilizing crypto as well. This is going to be very exciting, and it will most likely power the next 1 billion users of crypto, which is definitely something to watch for. And I think that the best way to sum this up is what Just a Tech Guy underscore tweeted out over on Twitter. He said, imagine you're a business with services or products on Ethereum. Suddenly you want to integrate a partner's product into yours. But your partner is not on Ethereum. He is on a whole different blockchain with its own quirks. Are you going to employ specialists for every other DLT you connect with? No. It should be as easy as using an API platform today. Oh wait, that is Overledger. You get to pick any programming language and interact in an ISO standardized manner for all chains. That's how exciting this video actually is, because again, I just shared with you guys this over on it was a recent video talking about the downfall of UST and how USDT and how everybody thinks that that's going to be great for the industry and this and that, which again, it's all down the food chain in this market. If USDT collapses, then it's going to be a lot bigger of a problem. But here you guys have the top Ethereum ecosystem tokens by market capitalization. So yeah, I mean, check out all of these projects that are tied to Ethereum. And by the way, there's a lot more products that are tied to Ethereum as well. This is just like a few of the ones that we talk about here and there. But this is massive amounts of value. I mean, there's over $173 billion in market cap by all of these tokens. And again, there's a lot more. I think that CMC is a little bit behind. There is a better breakdown of this. There's some exposure to USDT there with Ethereum as well. But Yeah, this is some of the biggest projects that are tied to Ethereum. I don't think that this is also accounting for stablecoins because like USDC is also tied to Ethereum here and there. So again, it's still a very large network, but these are all projects that are built on Ethereum. These are ERC20 tokens, and at the end of the day, are we going to expect every single major business and every single corporation that is building with Ethereum or even on the Ethereum blockchain to just utilize Ethereum? Absolutely not. They will want to utilize other DLT. There's going to be other DLT that offers them specific things, and I think that's going to definitely be exciting to watch that kind of blossom out once we do see full-on interoperability achieved, which we already kind of have it. It's just not fully demanded just yet until we do see those numbers pour in. But we do see a few things happening around Quant. Quant Papa actually posted this over on Twitter. QNT, 14,000 banks. Listen closely to this.
What that means is when you're sending a transaction between you and someone else through your banks, it's in real time. The US has only just received that in the last couple of years. TCH was the first one, so I worked on that project through Referral Link in my previous role. That's to connect 14,000 banks to the TCH system. And even more recently, the Fed in the US is becoming a service provider with FedNow. So they're looking at providing real-time settlement between different banks and parties as well. And what that means is when...
And again, the number of, financial institutions out there, it really is extremely large. The scope of this is like taking Swift for an example, which is 11,000 plus financial institutions. All of these numbers, these 14,000 banks through the TCH, which is the clearinghouse, we focused on just how large these domino effects could be. Universal DLT interoperability is 100% a thing. We actually seen this article got posted by Hyperledger Foundation back in May 10th. And why interoperability is so crucial, especially for these major banks. Like these, all these banks want to utilize DLT. Like the efficiencies around DLT is just far too great to ignore. This whole breakdown here over on Hyperledger Foundation breaks down like DLNs, the rise of DLNs, I should say, that are powering massive amounts of DLTs. It also talks about, the future system around cross-border banking services and all that kind of stuff. Like, imagine you are a bank that, sees the value behind DLT and you're like, okay, well, we want to do instant transfer. We want to do instant settlement. Okay, well, you want to utilize the XRP ledger. But then you're like, well, we like what Ethereum's doing as well. How can we utilize Ethereum but also utilize the XRP ledger? Well, you need something like Overledger. Overledger is unlocking the power of DLT. This is why I never understood why like everyone in the space is getting so competitive about like, okay, well my token's better than this token, and that token's better than this token. Which one is the better token? It's very simple, right? If there is a DLT out there that will be adopted that will be utilized, and the value behind it is incredible. Well, guess what? With QNT, you are betting on all of these DLTs or just any single one of these DLTs being adopted and utilized. Because what QNT is going to do is interconnect that DLT to the legacy system. And it's also going to allow the legacy system participants to utilize any DLT of their choosing. So it's almost like instead of putting all your eggs in just one basket, you are buying the basket, and all those eggs are all these other DLTs. It's something so special at the end of the day when you look at it like this, because these networks will continue to blossom. These assets will continue to be adopted, but the problem here is the future of crypto and the legacy system conjoining into one or converging is not a fragmented system. It's a seamless and frictionless system. How do you get that? Well, you get true interoperability. True interoperability unlocks all of this value, and it's something so exciting. And this is also why I say like QNT being this early on QNT is remarkable. And short term, yeah, we might get lower prices, but long term, in my opinion, knowing the future of crypto, knowing what's happening with DLT right now, there's no way in my mind that QNT is not going to be bigger than Bitcoin and Ethereum. I believe that QNT is that token that does have the power and the potential to be number one in this space for market capitalization. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.